Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝙒𝙖𝙩𝙤. What is going on in Tamil Nadu? Even as recently as last week, the NIA, the National Investigative Agency, swooped down on 43 different locations spanning several districts of the state, looking for evidence, and in fact got a lot of evidence about data that relates back to the 23rd of October car blast that took place in Coimbatore. And what we are also seeing on the ground is enhanced security to the Chief Minister, Sri M K Stalin, the cars that are going around. So what exactly is going on? Why is this threat perception higher now? Is it a case of snakes that somebody, grows in their backyard hoping that they'll only bite somebody else? Are the snakes coming back to bite? Is this what is happening? To understand a little bit more, let us talk to Dr. M R Venkatesh, who lives in Chennai, who is probably experiencing the same air and breathing the same air. And he might throw us a little bit more light on what exactly is going on. Dr. MRV, namaskaram and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaste, sir. Namaste. Yes.
Sir, this NIA continues to swoop in and make arrests, and they are finding more and more incriminating evidence, Dr. MRV. And sir, I'm trying to connect two different things, sir. The security that is there for Dr. M K Stalin perhaps is more than even the Prime Minister's security.
And deservedly so, in the sense the Prime Minister is no less inferior or superior to that of the Chief Minister. And Madam Jayalalitha, when she was the Chief Minister of the state, especially between 91 and 96, enjoyed Z+ category, which was the highest that we give to an elected representative. And even when she was out of power, she used to enjoy the same Z+ category. I think Mr. Stalin, on the office, the high office, the constitutional post that he occupies, deserves it. But there is a big but, which is capital BUT. Whereas the others fought. For instance, Jayalalitha ji had a very clear perception about LTTE. She would brook no anti-nationals. She was very clear about the law and order. She would never wine and dine with the Islamic terrorists. Whereas Mr. Stalin, as you put it in the title of this episode, has raised several snakes in his own backyard. He has wined and dined with them. He has supped with them. He has promoted them. Some very boisterously, some very on the sly. He has done this several times. His party is known to have done this. Even yesterday or day before, he has claimed credit for the Supreme Court letting off several of the convicts of Rajiv Gandhi. So if you look at it in totality, the DMK has always profited by hobnobbing with secessionist forces. There have been people who are quasi-terrorists. There have been people who are separatists, parochialists, people who have done several protests in Tamil Nadu against several central government schemes and several central government projects. So DMK now, probably this threat perception amongst the intelligence agencies is that the snakes that were reared in the backyard for several decades are now coming home to bite the very benefactors that have let them loose. And that is why probably M K Stalin's security has been raised. And let me tell you, Mr. Iyer, you may not be aware, probably it is early hours in US. This afternoon, there is a news that some people were arrested by the NIA in Chennai. And some searches are going on.
They were carrying some explosive equipment. On a traffic stop, they caught them. Yes.
Something is brewing, and of course, authentic news has not yet come out, so let me wait. But some news is that there is something that is brewing in Chennai today. So NIA is now, to be very frank, the North Indian politicians whether it is the BJP, the Congress, the Communist, all these national parties, are now understanding that the very bedrock of Dravidian politics is of secessionism, terrorism, hobnobbing with anti-nationals, whereas putting a veneer of constitutionalism. Whenever the DMK has raised the issue of federalism, it is not genuine federalism that they have talked about. It is quasi-separatism. They have actually talked about separatism couched in a language that is constitutionally acceptable. And we are people who have seen through this. We have seen through the game of the DMK. And in fact, they have operated in that penumbra that if you push them hard, they will always say that we were within the four corners of constitution. But in reality, this is a party that is preparing for a day of secessionism from India. Right from the genetic order of the Tamils, which they claim is separate from that of the rest of the Indians, to a Tamil language which they claim is separate, to a culture which they say is separate, to everything that they say is separate. And they always look at play a victimhood narrative, is done with a very calculated purpose to keep the entire embers alive, but without smoke at this point in time, and wait for an appropriate time to strike so that they will ask for secessionism. So you raise all type of secessionists, all type of left-wing extremists, you raise religious fundamentalists of all hues and keep them on the boil, but under some sort of a check. But you know, Mr. Iyer, these things cannot be checked. You cannot dam the Kaveri beyond a point. Kaveri, once she is in full flow, she is in full flow. You can't dam it. And she dams you. And that is what is happening today, when several of these snakes that you have reared in your backyard are now beginning to demand more. Dil mange more, as the exterior Pepsi ad would say. So they are asking for something more. And probably Stalin is feeling that the high office of the chief minister of a state does not allow the same elbow room that offers to the leader of the opposition. As a leader of opposition, you can indulge in verbal diarrhea. You can excel, rebel, and you can wallow in your own spit. But as a chief minister of a state, you have enormous constraints placed by the high office that you occupy, that you cannot talk the rubbish that you talked. And that is why you see the lament that he lamented a couple of weeks ago, that he is not able to have complete sleep. Poor man, he says, I will assure you full sleep for 7.5 crores of Tamils. The man who says Vidiyal Aatshi, meaning that he will give you peaceful progress, peace and progress, prosperity, everything that he promised. Unfortunately, he is not having a full 6-7 hours sleep. And he says that he's telling on his health. Why is it that happening? Because of these snakes in the backyard, including some of them who are his ministers, some of them who are his cabinet colleagues, some of them who represents the DMK party in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and also some of them who are party members, people who are forming part of the Tamil Nadu government establishment, are all loose cannons. And how many loose cannons can one man tolerate every 24 hours? And these guys are going on chipping and trying to demand something which is anti-constitutional, which is against the grain of the law of the land, which runs amok and threatens vast swath of population, is predominantly anti-Hindu, is pro-terrorists. Now, what is the heady Molotov cocktail that comes about it? It's something that finally, like Bhasmasura, who has the boon from Lord Shiva that he will place the head on somebody and that somebody will turn into Bhasma, meaning ash. Everybody who has raised a Frankenstein will always have to face this Bhasmasura moment. And Stalin is worried about it. And that's why probably that explains why the security has been increased.
Thank you so much, Dr. MRV. Viewers, please like this video. And also, if you have questions for Dr. MRV, have the hashtag AskMRV. One word, AskMRV, because it's easier for us to search through your questions. Many of you are also making observations. We are trying to put your observations on the screen as as your comments. So we welcome all those. But when you ask questions, please add AskMRV. Dr. MRV, if you will permit me, sir, I want to update our viewers with a couple of instances where whatever you just said about M K Stalin being unable to rein in his troops, I just want to mention. Viewers, there is a senior member of parliament of the DMK party called T.R. Balu. Remember the Ram Setu? He was the minister. So what has happened is there was a meeting. And on the dais, Mr. Balu is speaking, and there is the HR and CE minister, Mr. Shekhar Babu. And T.R. Balu is openly taking him on, and he's taunting him. Sir, you have excelled in the art of, and then he doesn't say any word. He does jing-chak, jing-chak, jing-chak. Now that means Bhajan Mandal. You have excelled the art of Bhajan Mandal. I should learn something from you, because you seem to be always, able to get everything that you want done. So this is also going on. Many, groups, they are not happy with the way Stalin is functioning, yet they can only express their frustration in a funny way. Now, the interesting thing about DMK party structure, there's an order of importance that people all seem to know. I don't know where it is published, but there is an order of importance. Number one is Stalin. Number two, I think, is Thambidurai. I don't remember the name.
No. That is an unofficial list.
Unofficial list, okay.
List. So, the DMK, which always believes in hunting with the hares and running with the hounds. I'm getting my metaphor deliberately mixed. You have to understand. So it is not a slip of the tongue. Okay. So what they do is have several lists published. So there is one list which ranks Stalin, Sabarisan, Udayanithi, and of course Kanimozhi is not there in that list. And there is another list which has Kanimozhi but not there right at the top. There is one Kanimozhi which is in the bottom. So like that you have to have several permutation combination, and it is this multiple lists, multiple hierarchy, multiple power center that is creating angst. And that is why people like T.R. Balu, who are known to be close acolytes of Kanimozhi, are finding it hard to penetrate, because the business side of it, it is rumored that it is only Mr. Sabarisan who takes care. Now, you can't meet Mr. Stalin for anything to do with business, commerce, economics of the state. You have to necessarily route it through Mr. Sabarisan. Then you had this motor mouth, Mr. Palnivel Rajan, who is the finance minister. And the man is suddenly goes on and off like my fan here, which suddenly functions and suddenly stops functioning for all on its own reason. So this Motormouth, who prides himself as being the ex-employee of Lehman Brothers, has somebody that is again on his own track, in the sense he thinks everybody is a fool except himself in this state. And he is the person set word in economics, politics, law, Hindu philosophy, Islamic theology, so on and so forth. So he's on his own. Then there are several ministers who have their own districts or a few taluks in the district as their fiefdom. They believe their writ must run in this. Then there is this there are certain people who believe that the North India, they are the only bridges that Stalin should have to whatever power, be it the Congress, be it the BJP, be it the communists, be it the international media. So there is several pulls and pressures. Then this all sudden and Cho used to find it amusing, and he used to say that the biggest achievement of Mu Karunanidhi was to manage his family with contrarian pulls and pressures. He used to say it wittingly, but he says, look at the man, with so much pulls and pressures, is able to manage single-handedly. But Stalin somehow is not able to pull that within the family or within the party. So there are, you may be right, you may have one list which has reached America, but being in Chennai, I have several lists before me. So I do not know which one is authentic. Let me confess, I do not know which one is authentic, but I can see several lists. There is a puzzle between, that is why Raja and Kanimozhi have placed themselves in a far extreme position, and they are taunting Stalin that, look, this is what we stand for, and you have to move your coins, or you have to move your positioning to a far extremist ideology, which Stalin finds that the high office of the constitution of this country does not allow him to do. So he's caught in a fix. Yes, sir.
Sorry, sir. I had to intervene at that exact point. I don't know if you watched this function that took place in Dindigul yesterday, and the national anthem is being recited, and everyone that I could see is reciting the national anthem except for one individual. Sir, what kind of constitutional adherence are you talking about?
No, this is what is pulling and pressurizing him. Poor man, that is why he's losing his sleep. You have to understand, if he sings, he's damned. If he doesn't sing, he's doomed. He's in a Scylla and Charybdis type of situation, and he's losing this. See, the moment he doesn't sing, he is caught. If he sings, then people will taunt him and say, you have given up to pan-India ideology, you have given up your Tamil separatist ideology, you have sung this in a Aryan language, all sorts of taunts he has to face. So spare a thought for a poor guy. Don't bash him so much. You on a weekend, he deserves some extra sleep of 3-4 hours. Don't bash him so much. And this is what is the animal come to. So that is why, that explains why there is a huge disconnect between Stalin as an opposition leader, where he could get away with anything, and the Chief Minister Stalin, who is finding it even difficult to sing the national anthem. If he sings, he's going to face problems. Let us not mince words here. This is the party that I am seeing. A lot of your viewers are from the northern part of the country. This is DMK for you, where singing national anthem, I can understand Indian Union Muslim League doing this. In the sense, I may not accept it, but I can rationalize it. But DMK leader, Chief Minister Stalin, finding it difficult to sing the national anthem reflects on the DMK ideology, and somebody somewhere must take a very concerted action to see whether they really subscribe to the unity and integrity of this country.
Thank you, sir. And I just want to add one little observation. United States is one of the freest in terms of expressions. You can express whatever you want. In fact, people pride themselves in stitching bikinis made of the US flag. India, we don't disrespect the flag, but in US, they go to that extent in terms of use of freedom. But it doesn't matter what bent of mind you have, what ideology you profess to. When it happens when there is a high school event, from the high school it starts. Any event like a game, a competition, a tournament, which involves not just your school, but other schools participating, the first thing they sing is the national anthem. Non-negotiable, sir. Non-negotiable. Everybody, you can badmouth to the president, anybody you want outside, but at that moment, everybody places their hand on their heart and sings the national anthem. I wish India understands some of these things also. In fact, United States says we are a union of states. One of the problems you are seeing in the current midterm elections is that each state, in fact, sometimes each county, has a different way of conducting elections. So anyway, what I'm trying to say here is some things are not negotiable. I think that national identity in India still really, really needs to, take root in a big way. That's my 2 cents, sir. Also, Dr. MRV, I want to update our viewers. You've been following Karthik Gopinath's case, and MRV, in fact, was instrumental, one of the key persons in getting Karthik bail. Now the FIR quashing has not happened yet. It is gone into the Tariq pe Tariq mode. Now, what happened was last week Karthik tried a slightly different tack. He said, "Fine, let the case go on. I just want the money to be freed so that the Sthapati, who is actually rebuilding murtis, who is everything is done, they have to be paid. Otherwise, the pratishtha, all the expenses, the temple has to come back to life." And when this was coming up in front of Justice 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙪𝙤, the Advocate General of Tamil Nadu is arguing why it should not be done. And this person doesn't have a proper argument because they don't have a case. What has happened, Dr. MRV, is that when he's trying to, he's going all over the place, and he's not very, and English is not his strong suit. He's going all over the place, and the Karthik's lawyer starts saying that you're not making sense what you're saying. And all this man knows, he tells the Karthik's lawyer to shut up. No decorum at all in the court. And then, of course, Karthik's lawyer is not going to keep quiet. He's not the kind of person who takes things lying down. He gives him back with both barrels. And this pandemonium happens in the court. And now the case has been, posted for by another week. And again, the same thing will follow. What was interesting in this, Dr. MRV, was the audience. The top brass from HR&C is sitting there and watching this. 30 lakhs, that too. Nobody can prove that there was any malfeasance after these months. And why is the entire HR&C sitting there? The reason I'm saying all this is, Dr. MRV, it is my belief that there is a connection again here. There's a quid pro quo. Now they are going after smaller temples that don't even have proper hundi collection. So I am really, really wondering what the heck is happening in Tamil Nadu. Tell me I'm dreaming something wrong, sir.
Your reading is absolutely right. And all these Grama Devata and what we call as the Parambriya temples belonging to the village deities. My reading is, you are right, they don't want it to be resurrected, and they don't want Karthik Gopinath formula to be repeated in any other temple in any other way. So the first one was to hit at Karthik Gopinath, the individual. Now hit at Karthik Gopinath, the effort in resurrecting Siruvachur temple, so that the money is not taken back by the HR&C. After all, he is basically a trustee. He is basically collecting it in a manner that will facilitate what HR&C is supposed to have done. He has done, and he is handing over the money, and they are refusing to take it. Can you believe that the state's primary legal officer, the primary legal officer, comes to the
viewers
and objects?
Viewers, we are having momentary technical difficulties. MRV, we just dropped you for a minute. I hope you are back again now. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. No, your video is a big problem. No, your video is a problem, sir. Like all Americans, your video is a problem, and you are blaming me.
It's okay, sir. It's my problem, but I couldn't hear you. Please continue, sir. Please continue.
Yes. So you are a true American citizen. Yeah, I'm going ahead. Now, as far as I am concerned, this attack will be concerted on all small temples, big temples. There is no method in the madness. It is only one simple ideology to go ahead and destroy the cultural heritage of this country, of the state, and see that the Abrahamic faiths are running full steam in this state. So the DMK has one another dimension. This is one another list, wherein this list consists of pastors. This list consists of several of these mullahs who are hell-bent on ensuring that this state loses its Hindu identity and begins to get the type of multipolar identity as, say, Kerala has got, and see to that this completely the temple is the best place to destroy Hinduism. Destroy a temple you destroy a good portion of Hindus. So that is why HR and CE is now going ahead with this very clear agenda. And that is why I would again use your channel and beseech the central government that come with a central enactment, take over all the temples, all the temples that we have south of India. It's not your property or my property or even the state's property. It is the property of the entire population. It is to be taken over through a central enactment, and the central law, like it protects all ASI monuments, has to protect every single temple. Tamil Nadu, I think, has got around 35 to 40,000 temples. Please protect every single temple through an ASI, through the ASI Act or some other law. And you can't leave it to HRNC Department of Tamil Nadu government to protect them. They are out to destroy them. What the Khiljis, what the Akbars, what the British, what the French could not do, right now under the free India with a very, very secular constitution, we are destroying ourselves inch by inch, day by day.
Well, you have this paradox that you find in Tamil Nadu. The families are very religious. They will not step out of the house in the morning without having something on their forehead, whether it is kumkumam or vibhuti or namam, well, depending on what their Ishta Devata is. And
Or
here,
chandan.
or Chandan. And here you have a situation where the same individual will go and vote for DMK. And you ask them, how come these people are destroyers of religion? How come you are voting for them? And how come you are so religious? His glib explanation is that is different, this is different. How can this be different, Dr. MRV? Have you deciphered this part?
Yes, this has been occupying my mind very heavily. And there are some very devout Hindus. I know them personally. And they made no bones about it. In fact, some of the DMK ministers, I have visited some of the DMK MPs' home also. They have complete, you will not find one god or goddesses missing in their house. With all pictures, all rituals being carried out. They perform Amavasya Tarpan. They observe Ekadasi. They have separate kitchens on Dwadasi. Absolutely done in a manner that would shame a very traditionalist Hindu. But at the same time, when they take the public stage, they ridicule the very same Hindu rituals that they followed half an hour back at their home. Now, this is even, you are looking at people looking at as if the politicians are anti-Hindu and the voters are pro-Hindu. And you are trying to find the difference. I'm saying the same person. After the show, I can name that person also. Now, those type of, he's a bird protector, so I won't give anything more than this. So, these type of people are extremely religious, very, very pious, very devoted, very sincere to the Hindu cause. But this poison in the body polity of Tamil Nadu has crept up. Now, let me ask you a counter question. You ask an average man in Tamil Nadu, does he approve of Rajiv Gandhi being assassinated by LTT? The answer is universal no. Nobody is happy in Tamil Nadu that Rajiv was killed here. But Rajiv killers who were allowed by SC to Supreme Court to go scot-free yesterday were celebrated by a few people. They burst crackers. But nobody goes and tells them that this is not correct. Nobody takes that public position. And this is where I think the BJP is lacking fight. You should have 1 million street fights to change the narrative. You cannot do it by simply writing one editorial or do this, because people think that is something that has been ingrained. Like communism. Like communism in China, I'm sure you talk to any average Chinese inside a closed room, he is furious about communism. But outside, he knows, you do not know what it is. And so everybody is cocooned and everybody is agreeable to this nonsense. So Dravidian ideology, politics has spread so much of venom inside the establishment. You have education, even in judiciary, in several parts of your lower judiciary is very much linked to this. Your establishment, IAS, IPS officers, state cadres, your teachers, all of them have been picked and chosen. They are all DMK cadres. They are not teachers. They are first DMK cadres. And for 40, 50 years, you have built it. So you do not know if you speak, what could be the consequences. So everybody, though he is a devout Hindu, he is agreeable to vote to the DMK because we have not come out with an alternative. And don't tell me BJP or ADMK is an alternative. We have not come out with an ideological alternative. People who hate DMK vote for ADMK. People don't vote for ADMK because they love ADMK or they love the BJP. Because they hate DMK, they vote the BJP, other parties. Unless these people come out with an alternative ideology. Now let us assume I am bursting crackers, hailing the verdict of Supreme Court, allowing killers of Rajiv to come out. And if you keep quiet, that means you are also, this is basically a challenge that I am throwing at you. I am throwing the gauntlet and telling you, Mr. I, pick it up or keep quiet and follow this. Since nobody picks it up, I become the ideology, and my bursting the crackers, praising the killers of Rajiv Gandhi being released by the Supreme Court, I make a statement. There is no counter statement in the entire street. The entire street watches it. And they think this, everybody is silent, so everybody is acceptable to this. Why should I invite trouble? Unless a million street fights are fought, you cannot overturn this. And unless that is done, no other alternative ideology can come into place in Tamil Nadu.
You know, you have summarized the challenge in front of the BJP, who seem to just equate the popularity of a leader by seeing the number of people turning up to listen to him, that will directly translate into votes. I think there's a reality check here. Now, you segued me into the last question for today, Dr. MRV, and that is this whole mess up regarding freeing of Rajiv killers. It's not one level. It appears like it's like an onion where layer after layer of mistakes have taken place. As a lawyer, I want you to put your lawyer hat on now and kind of tell us, why did the governor, it starts with the governor in my opinion, why did the governor let this thing go to the central level and to the Supreme Court level, sir?
See, it is the most shameful thing on the Indian establishment. Now, governor, legislature, parliament, Supreme Court, all these people have let the people of India down. A for Australia to Z for Zimbabwe. Nowhere could you have seen a terrorist goes and assassinates the past prime minister or past president of that particular country and gets away scot-free. Now, can you ever think, much less conjure of a situation, that it is not done by that own countryman, but by a different countryman? In this case of Rajiv, it is not Indians. Though a few Indians were also involved, it was predominantly planned, executed by Sri Lankan Tamils. It was done by Sri Lankan Tamils, LTT. I shouldn't use the word Tamils. It is predominantly done by LTT, a terrorist organization. Now, this organization comes to India and does this. And you may say governor should have acted, legislature should not have done this, parliament should have forced a law on, the Supreme Court should have used Article 142 to a greater reading of the situation and to have taken the consequences of their decision. So what we are telling the people of this country is, please, anybody can come and tomorrow you can come and assassinate any top leader of this country. And we may waffle a bit, we may shout a bit, we may cry a bit, breastbeat a bit. At the end of the day, we'll give you laddus and let you off. I feel very sad that today it is basically a breakdown of the constitution at the central level, with the Supreme Court actually supervising this. Of course, Supreme Court will have its own logic as it has probably dealt with it elaborately in the judgment. I must say I have not read the judgment in full. But I must say also that this was basically a judgment that was waiting to happen after Perarivalan was let off last year. And after he has been let off, we have seen people like Vigo going and hugging him, giving him sweets as if he has won a war for you. He has gone to the battlefront. What he has done is basically a murderer, a cold-blooded murderer who has assassinated your former prime minister. Now comes the most interesting part. Spare a thought for a Tamil Nadu congressman. Now, what is Tamil Nadu Congress doing? Tamil Nadu Congress is aligned with the DMK. Now, DMK is one party which I at least I would love to be corrected, but I have never seen any top leader of DMK going and placing a wreath in the assassination spot of Rajiv Gandhi. On the contrary, yesterday the chief minister has claimed that we were responsible and we were instrumental in bailing out these 6 people. Which means Congress is in cahoots with people who are sympathetic to the assassination of their own leader. And you have Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi pardoning those killers. Now that is their personal choice. They can do that as a person. But what has happened to the other 14, 15 people who were killed in that day? What happened to those policemen? What happened to the general public? Who answers for them? Is it not one of the rarest of rare cases where after the whole case was determined they should have been hanged? And we allowed things to drift. Who allowed things to drift? The very same Congress party. And if you recall, Mr. Iyer, in 1997, 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪 government was brought down by the Congress party because DMK was a part to that Congress in that alliance. And the Jain Commission report had named DMK as one of those. In the draft report, DMK was named as a party which actually was responsible for the assassination or the words to that effect, that probably DMK was part of the conspiracy or something like that in the draft report. I'm not very sure, but there were some finger pointing at DMK. But Congress immediately said remove DMK, and 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪 could not do anything, and his government fell. This was in 97. By 99, Congress party virtually was trying to move the DMK, and by 2004, in fact, I was so confident that the DMK and Congress can never come together, that DMK and Congress came together in 2004. 7 years back, you said, this guy, if he is there in the alliance, we will not support this alliance. And you form an own alliance. And what happened to 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪? The 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪 was made the biggest fool by both DMK and Congress. Now, history repeats itself. And today, yet again, you see Karthik Chidambaram, you see American Narayanan, you see the host of Congress leaders. Oh, our leader has been assassinated. We cannot tolerate. We do not do this. But what the damn you are doing? You're swining and supping with DMK, which is wining and dining with the terrorists who assassinated your leader. In other words, there is a congressman who is Jekyll and Hyde. A Jekyll who supports certain things and a Hyde who supports certain other things. And why this duplicity, sir? Why is it that nobody is asking this question to the congressman? Now, if you are so much worried about the assassination of your own leader, and believe me, he is not your leader, he was our prime minister too. And when you allowed this to happen, and your own alliance partner says that we have ensured that the assassins have been let loose, and you are keeping quiet except tweeting. Such important set of leaders we would never have seen except Tamil Nadu Congress. And my blood boils to see that the type of congressmen who are allowing this to happen. I feel so wretched that this Congress party wants to come back to power. You cannot even protect your own leader. Even after his death, you cannot defend his honor. You cannot go after the people who actually assassinated your prime minister, your leader. This is the Congress that we are having today. Shame on them. And hell will have a separate chamber for these congressmen. Let me tell you.
And viewers, if you have not watched the conversation that I had with Dr. Subramanian Swamy yesterday, there is a lot more erudition on what Dr. MRV just said about how a congressman, despite explicit instructions to the contrary, makes an announcement from the dais that anyone who wishes to garland Rajiv Gandhi may step forward and do so. There were very clear rules and markers set aside as to who could even approach him. Everything was thrown to the wind. That is how this suicide bomber could get that close to Rajiv Gandhi. It is so shocking. This thing could have been completely avoided. And Dr. Swamy goes through step by step by step by step how many places they tried to prevent this from happening. And yet the thing ended up happening. This could have not been possible without not just the connivance of DMK, but some local Congress people also. That is my take, sir. I mean, there is this J.S. Verma commission, which is even more damning in its criticism of how this thing went down. And you can't even find it. I'm trying hard to get my hands on that report so that people have a right to know. What's happening now is something, you're all seeing, but you have a right to know what led up to this. There were many responsible people who had written good commission reports. Anyway, let's take some questions, Dr. MRV. Now, let's have some questions, please. GTR wants to know, great session so far. Is the center doing or going to do something about anti-national parties like this?
I don't know what do you mean by doing something. The center cannot do much about, say, the DMK or MDMK or any other political party, because they officially owe allegiance to the unity and integrity of the nation. But going down to the street corner meetings, they throw all this to the winds and start doing what they know best. So somewhere down the line, we need to actually work out a mechanism that not only speaking against the unity and integrity, as Iyer said, we can abuse ourselves, we can fight, we can have a great amount of dissent on every damn thing. There are certain things which has to be held non-negotiable. One is the unity and integrity of this country. You cannot say that I will secede and say that the constitution is given me the right to secede from this country. I think that will be a paradox, and that will be something that will not cut ties with people like me. I would believe that time has come that probably we need a National Integrity Act or some other law which positively dissuades people from speaking against balkanization of the country, or trying to dismember the country, or say that the unity and integrity is a questionable one, abuse certain national monuments, architectural wonders, or symbols of this country, and try to tell that this is done with nothing less than 7 or 10 years of imprisonment. So unless we deal with this with a very iron hand, I don't think so we can eradicate this menace. And secondly, I would also say that political parties must not only owe allegiance to the constitution, they must be asked positively to state and say that their leaders, campaigners, elected representatives will not in any manner, directly or indirectly, suggest balkanization of this country, dismembering this country. So we must put them on a very narrow silo straitjacket. Parochialism or any other conversation that leads to even a remote suggestion that I do not want to form a part of the union, I think that is something that we must abhor, and we must bring in the law. How and why? Probably it will require greater church, and we may debate it any other day.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Vignesh. Do you think Stalin is a dummy CM considering that he can't take care of his own party, let alone the state? Is someone controlling him, like MMS by Sonia Gandhi?
Now, when you compare Stalin to MMS, MMS is a very lucky person. He had only one controller. It was Sonia Gandhi. And as I pointed to Mr. Iyer, Stalin is controlled by his son. Stalin is controlled by his sister. Stalin is pressurized by his son-in-law. Stalin is put pressure by party oldies. Stalin is pressurized by the young Turks in the party. And there is a cadre establishment. So Stalin is boxed by several people. So there is nobody singularly controlling him, but several people are extracting their pound of flesh from Stalin. So that is why Stalin says, look at my body, I am so thin because everybody is extracting their pound of flesh.
Srinivas Vyasarao wants to know, review petition on EWS quota by DMK. What is likely to be the verdict under the new 𝙒𝙗𝙖𝙦?
See, I would first request Srinivas ji, first let us not use such terms as 𝙒𝙗𝙦 to describe our Chief Justice. It is okay in a casual conversation, but in a public fora, when we are discussing the highest in the land, if we don't respect people, people will, you can jolly disagree with all his judgments. I have done it also. Only humble request, if you can consider it, I'll be happy. The second one is, as far as this review petition of EWS Quota by DMK, yeah, they will try. They will not only go for the review, they will go also for the curator. But I don't think so. It is going to cut ties. The Supreme Court more or less has made up its mind that this is likely to stay. And that's all it is. I don't think so that it will have any greater scrutiny by the Supreme Court.
Dr. Marvi, I have a more philosophical question. Some years ago, the Supreme Court came down and said reservations cannot exceed 49%. Does this fall under that? In that case, it becomes 59%, isn't it?
Yeah, that was, I think, in the Mandal Commission. Yes. They said in the aggregate, it should not exceed more than 49.5. So it was 22.5 plus 27 for the OBCs.
Right.
See, all these are not cast in stone. Why only 50%? Why not 60? Why not 75? Why not 25? Is there any scientific basis? There is no scientific basis. So you will have to move with the flow of current events, balance so many things, and come to a conclusion. And they have come to a conclusion. Whether it is right or wrong, yeah, we can decide. Probably 10 years down the line, Supreme Court will come to a decision and say reservations have put us on the back burner. We shouldn't have reservation. Reservation goes against Article 14 straight away. So the decisions, all these decisions may be overturned also. Who knows? Horses may fly one day. So let us wait for that. But at this point in time, let me
Pegasus. Pegasus.
Yeah. So horses may fly. So, but I would say only one thing, that this, don't take all these things as if it is eternal gospel. It is all contextual. Judgments are written by judges with their own understanding of life, philosophy, and several other factors that they have experienced. So it is not like Veda or some other God-given scripture. It is basically human being understanding humanities as they see it and as events unfold. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And Arvind Narayanan wants to know, do you think the ban on PFI has actually triggered the radical Islamists more, especially in Kerala, to take up arms against the Hindus, as we saw in the case of the doctors killing in Kasaragod?
Arvind, in Dharma Yuddham, there will be a loss. In all Dharma Yuddhas, you cannot say that I will win the war without losing something. And as we saw the case of the dentist doctor in Kasaragod, we have lost somebody in a dharma yuddha. So you mean to say, should we keep quiet just because PFI will go on attacking us? We cannot keep quiet. We have no business in keeping quiet. As the saying goes, they have started the war. We will bloody well finish it. Now, we will have to fight to the finish. Either they are finished or we are finished. When I say we, I include vast swaths of people of all hues, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, who are against all hues of terrorists, whether he is a Hindu, Muslim, or a Sikh, or a whatever. Now, my view is you have no choice but to fight this war. You are nobody who has an option of not fighting the war. If you want to read anything more, please read chapter 2 of Bhagavad.
Next question, please. Kalyan Raman wants to know, is it possible to throw DMK to the dust for good?
It is possible. Tamil Nadu has around 60-65% anti-DMK votes. DMK has never polled more than, in fact, Challenger realized somewhere in the 90s that he by himself cannot form a government. And he has practically got various groups, caste, Muslim groups, and always try to move the Congress. And if you know, in 96, it is Tamil Mandala Congress which came to his rescue. When Mopanar walked out of Congress, Congress was reduced to nothing but even a tissue paper. And the entire pulp went to along with Mr. Mopanar, and Mopanar aligned with Challenger, and Challenger formed a government, swept the polls. Now, since then, he realized DMK by itself can never come to power. So there is a 60-65, probably 65-70% also vote, which does not correspond to the view of the DMK. But this 70% aggregates if it has a charismatic leader like Jayalalitha. Of this 70%, 40-45 used to aggregate under the leadership of Jayalalitha. And when Jayalalitha became stronger, the balance 20-25% again used to have a Hobson's choice. They used to split between DMK and ADMK because they also hated Jayalalitha, not the ADMK, but Jayalalitha more, and they used to tend towards the DMK. So this is how it moved back and forth in an iteration in Tamil Nadu. But if there is going to be a charismatic leader, if there is going to be, as I said, 1 million mutinies at the roadside, challenging the hegemony of the DMK and its lumpen elements, question them on every single thing, put intellectual arguments, put down and act at the street level, revive the glory of temples, respect women, respect elders, eschew terrorism, eschew all these converting forces of the Abrahamic faiths, rein in the mullahs, rein in the pastors, somebody who univocally puts all this very clearly to the general public. And last but not the least, give a very good economic package and a clean governance package to the Tamils. Believe me, Tamil Nadu will become the engine of India's growth. If India is going to be the engine of global growth in the next decade or so, Tamil Nadu will be the engine of growth. The type of entrepreneurship you see in Tamil Nadu, you don't see anywhere in the country. In fact, Tamil Nadu is the land of entrepreneurs. I think it has more per capita entrepreneurs than anywhere in the world. I'm making this not in India, anywhere in the world, per capita entrepreneur. That is the type of entrepreneurship that we have in this part of the country. The only thing, it is bottled by absolute corruption that has been practiced in the last 30-40 years. ADMK and DMK are no different when it comes to corruption. Only thing, ADMK does not believe in organization of the state, whereas DMK openly or at least obliquely believes. That is the only difference. But DMK was as corrupt as ADMK, ADMK is as corrupt as DMK. So we are yearning for an alternative, and I hope sooner than later an alternative will emerge, and hope hopefully the BJP current crop of leadership under Annamalai will probably provide this sooner, because the state is earning for a change, and there is a huge leadership crisis and a vacuum staring at the state.
Last question, and then we will put a stop. We apologize. We cannot take any more questions. The rain is intensifying in Chennai, it looks like, because we are having drops in MRV's voice. I'm seeing the comments, MRV. It's not my fault. Now, at least, this is some other thing going on. So last question. Maya Jagannathan wants to know, with Stalin so frightened for his own life, indicating failure of law and order, can government ask for president's rule in Tamil Nadu? Can governor ask for president rule in Tamil Nadu?
Governor can ask. In fact, Article 356 is very beautifully worded, that the center can impose president's rule on the recommendation of the governor, or otherwise. That or otherwise was used to a very devastating effect in the year 1990 by Dr. Swami, when the then governor, Surjit Singh Barnala, refused to give a recommendation for the imposition of president rule in Tamil Nadu. So the Union Cabinet under the Prime Ministership of Chandrasekhar took Dr. Swami's advice and told. And Dr. Swami told them that you don't have to wait for the governor's advice. And without the governor's advice, and using the word or otherwise, they went ahead and imposed the president's rule. Now, if the governor gives a recommendation, there can be a president's rule. If the governor doesn't give a recommendation, even then Amit Shah and company can have a complete look, and they can also go ahead. Notwithstanding this, I would say it is too premature to talk about a failure of law and order. Stalin getting frightened for his own life doesn't indicate failure of law and order. There are several other parameters, and you must also know, after the 𝙒𝙖𝙪 judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court, it is virtually difficult to implement Article 356 or impose Article 356 in the state. Article 356 is at best an ornamental piece in our constitution, thanks to that judgment. Now, we will have to see how events will pan out. My guess is that sooner than later, if Stalin does not improve the law and order, it is coming back. The snakes are waiting with their hoods on, and they are hissing, they are showing their fangs, and they are ready to inject poison. And the first victim, unfortunately, may be Stalin. So, Mr. Stalin, shore up your administration, shore up your police, don't indulge in petty politicking, and raise the standards of the state police and ensure that law and order is not a problem. Convert Tamil Nadu into a land of peace and progress.
Thank you so much, Dr. MRV. And with that, we are going to, I'm sorry, we are not going to be able to take that question. Let's put a stop here, because the voice quality is really becoming difficult. It's popping so much, Dr. MRV, that we can only get parts of your words. Nothing, no fault of yours, sir. It is just Varun Bhagavan saying that, okay, I think you have to give respect to Dr. MRV. He's been working very hard. So thank you so much, Dr. MRV. And very philosophical. The question here is, here is a state that has a huge potential, that is grounded in religion, and every one of these edifices is under attack for what? The benefit of a few. That is the takeaway here. Thank you very much, Dr. MRV. As always, a pleasure to have you, sir. And we'll be back again with more thoughtful, insightful discussions. Namaskar.